Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another video. We're joined by Tom as always again today. We're going to sit down and talk about Abdoulaye Doucoure and specifically who can come in and replace Abdoulaye Doucoure during his period obviously out injured. We don't know how long he's going to be out injured for yet. We may well know by the time this video goes out, but as of recording date we don't know quite how long it's going to be. All we know is Carlo Ancelotti has said that he's likely to not return before the international break, which is of course at the end of the month. So we're going to talk about who could potentially come in and replace Abdoulaye Doucoure, replace that energy that he brings and his importance to this Everton team. Before we do that, don't forget to check out the Football News 365 app. The link is in the description down below. It's free to download on the App Store, on the Google Play Store. It's an absolutely fantastic app. Keeps you up to date with all your latest Everton news, scores, information, updates, etc. So if you could check that one out using the link in the description, that would mean a great deal to me. First off then, just on Doucoure, before we go on to talk about specifically who can come in to replace him. Obviously, it's devastating news that he's picked up that injury. He is an absolutely vital member of this Everton team, this Everton squad. He's been excellent this season, and that energy that he brings and that engine that he brings it's so important, isn't it, Tom? And it's going to be so difficult to bring somebody in that can provide that.
Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing in the squad or in terms of to bring in the output that he puts in. Like, we've all had a laugh and a joke on here, haven't we? Suggesting he's ran Forrest Gump's about. He could run into the ground probably, couldn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, he's probably, when you think about it, you're looking at stats wise and what he can bring. He's probably in the top 10 of centre midfielders in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And the key issue for Everton, it's not necessarily like goals or assists or creativity. It's his defensive output and it's his work rate.
Yeah.
It's just it's a similar attribute to what Ghana did, not on that level in terms of what Ghana, as much as what Ghana produced for others, especially. He was a pretty big water carrier, really, weren't he, Ghana?
Yeah.
But especially in that team, especially when you look at who he was dealing with in that group. But Doucoure's got a very similar job, but in terms of he's got to defend, and then he's got to get up there, hasn't he? He's a box to box midfielder. Absolutely. And yeah, the scary part about it is that you could sort of look at Doucoure and think, oh, he doesn't score, his passing and things like that. But once he goes out the side, you're panicking to suggest, like, right, well, who is going to take on this mantle? And the whole sort of system that Ancelotti's created is probably created around Doucoure, really. He's probably the key component to it. So I think in terms of looking at it on a basis of that, I think moving forward, if he's going to be out for a long period of time, I think Ancelotti's going to have to find a different system.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to square peg round hole situations with Gomez, Sigurdsson, or even Davies or Allen for that matter, I don't think anything can sort of do that box to box role. I don't think they've got the physicality to do it. So it's going to be very interesting how Ancelotti approaches this.
Absolutely. I agree completely, and I think, you know, obviously we've spoken on a number of times this season about big injuries and key injuries to the team. Obviously we had Luca Dean out for 2 or 3 months. He needed the operation, and we all sort of were like, oh my god, what are we going to do now? Luca Dean's out, and we stumbled across Ben Godfrey playing at left back, which I don't think any of us expected before Luca Dean's injury. We then had Allen out for the sustained period of time, and Abdoulaye Doucoure was sort of asked to do that Allen role, if you like, and then Tom Davies sort of come into his own and he started to impress there. And then, you know, Abdoulaye Doucoure's obviously picked up an injury, and I think on Monday against Chelsea, Allen was maybe sort of asked to do that Doucoure role a little bit, and it was quite evident that he just hasn't got the energy to do it. He hasn't got the engine to do it. So I agree, and I do have a little bit of confidence in the fact that, we were all sort of in this same situation when Luca Dean picked up an injury and we didn't know what the answer was going to be, and all of a sudden we stumbled across a Ben Godfrey. I say we stumbled across. I'm sure Carlo Ancelotti had that planned anyway, but we as a fan base didn't know that was the case. Same with Alan, obviously with Tom Davies. So there is a slight bit of confidence that we'll find a system and we'll find a way in which of playing without Abdoulaye Doucoure, but that energy is just so important. And if you were to look at players in this current Everton team, I know we mentioned off camera about, well, you mentioned Tyler Onyango, who we want to talk about, and obviously I spoke about Ben Godfrey as well, potentially playing central midfield. If Carlo doesn't want to change the system between now and the end of the season, and he just wants to sort of put somebody in to add to that energy in the midfield that obviously Abdoulaye Doucoure brings and is now missing, I think we can all be in agreement, Tom, myself, you, and a lot of other Evertonians, that in terms of the current group of Everton midfielders, i.e. James, Gomez, Gylfi, Davis, and Alan, none of them can really do that. I mean, maybe as a stretch Davis, but I still don't think he's got the engine or the energy to do that. None of the others certainly haven't got that energy, have they?
No. I mean, I think it is a stretch with Davies doing that, in it. I think for Doucoure's one stride, I think Davies fit in about 3, wouldn't he? So
true.
I think in terms of that side, I think Davies has found his niche now. I think he's a number 6. I think he sits in front of that's 2 centre halves and he dictates play. I think that's his best role.
Absolutely.
I don't necessarily see anyone else taking that off him. I think him and Alan are probably competing with each other to start in that role.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to have Doucoure, then Alan could be the one who certainly to go out and go press people in terms of that. But I think you're not going to see this box to box player. So I'd certainly think in terms of if we do lose Doucoure for a long period of time, I think you're looking at that. I think there's going to have to be a system change where I would like to see Alan and Davies sort of sit in like a double pivot.
Yeah.
Where then we can sort of not necessarily see like a 4-4-2, but necessarily see like a 4-2-2-2 in the sense of we see Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, then in behind we could potentially see an Iwobi, Sigurdsson and Rodriguez type of thing where it's narrow. It's narrow and where we can allow sort of Dean, and this is where the situation comes in with the right back. If Coleman comes back, you could sort of allow Dean and Coleman to push further on to give us that bit of a width, because you've sort of got that protection in terms of Davies and Allen. I think the both of them are very good positional wise defensively, so I think that would give Mina and Keane or Mina and Godfrey certainly some protection. So I think that could be a future thing. But yeah, like you've mentioned, Onyango, I rave about this lad. I think I've spoke to you a few times about him. We've spoke off air as well about him. I think this lad's got the ability to take on this mantle.
Yeah.
Whether he's ready for it now or whether he's ready for it next season or the season after that, but I think he's tailor made for this box to box role. And if anyone's seen him play for the under 23, he sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
He's 6'3". He's absolutely massive. I mean, it's not 6'3" in terms of he's lanky or he's still coming into his body. He's 6'3" and he's got a physical capability to handle the Premier League at this young tender age. So yeah, I think he's certainly one, and I think as well, I think he's an absolute recovery machine in terms of what he puts out defensively. I certainly see a very similar trait in him as Doucoure with his work rate, and I think I'll be honest with you, I think he's very highly rated at Everton. I don't necessarily, especially I wouldn't necessarily say before Ancelotti come in, but I think with David and Carlo, I think they really like him. I think it was, whether this is just me speculating or whatever, when you watch the live training that they put out yesterday, I mean, he was very, very much involved in shape and ball work and things like that with Alan and Davies and the others. So yeah, I think he could be certainly one to come in. Listen, we've seen it time and time again with Everton. these young lads come in and you think, oh, they're never going to do it. But Davies come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Ross Barkley was touted, but he had a bad injury, and even at that time, probably people would suggest that he weren't ready to step up into a first team company. So we do have these players who sort of step up to the mark. And listen, if you go and watch Onyango in the under-23s, my personal opinion is I feel like he's in second gear. I feel like he's just going through the motions, and I think he knows he's just got far more ability than what he's actually playing against. And we see this. I mean, under 23s is a very good sort of building block for Everton, for players, but I think at times you can't beat the going up that level into towards first team. I think he's been in the first team for the last 6 months, maybe something like that. Yeah, especially training wise.
Yeah, he's obviously had a couple of minutes in one of the cup games. I can't remember which cup game it was.
I think it was West Ham, was it?
Yeah, I think it might have been West Ham, towards the end of it. But he come in, and certainly in that game that he played in, it was the same game that Thierry Small made his debut and become Everton's youngest ever player. And obviously Thierry Small come on, and I think he had a couple of touches with the ball, he got forward. But Onyango come on, and he got stuck in straight away. He looked comfortable, he looked confident, he looked like he wanted the ball, he wanted to turn with it, he wanted to move forward with it. And I agree, I've seen him a number of times in the under-23s, and the lad just looks absolutely exceptional. He looks a level above everybody else that he's playing with at that level. And I suppose he seems like the natural replacement for Doucoure. If he had more first team experience, if he'd had more involvement maybe off the bench in the Premier League, you probably would say, right, it's time to give this lad a go, because he, obviously he's tall, he's got an engine, he probably not as quick as Doucoure, but he certainly can bring the ball forward. He is the type of box-to-box midfielder. He can take the ball off players, he's physical, he's, like I said, he is quick, maybe not as quick as Doucoure, but he is quick. And I agree, I'd love to see Tyler Onyango being given his opportunity. I really, really would. Do you think Carlo will do that? I know you mentioned before, and I never noticed it myself, about the training and the fact that Onyango was in with the central midfielders, is almost as if he was, well, he really is part of the first team, but almost as if he was in contention of starting. Do you think that Carlo Ancelotti will put that trust and faith in him? Obviously, there's been a long conversation this season about young players, and you like see your Nkunkus and your Gordons and stuff, and where you maybe think, go on, give that lad an opportunity, he deserves it, and they haven't even been in the matchday squad. Do you sort of think that's Ancelotti, again, I don't want to say anything against the younger players, but maybe not having that confidence in playing them, or do you just think it was the wrong time for those players and it's different for Onyango now?
Listen, if Everton were at 12th, I think you'd see him.
Yeah.
I think that the situation is now is Everton are in sort of conversation and in the competition to get Champions League. So everything changes, and you're gonna have to show some real Italian meatballs, aren't you? Yeah. To put an 18-year-old lad in against Burnley.
Yeah.
But maybe it might need to take that. Yeah. You just don't know it. We see through seasons where a young lad could come in, or even like Humanias, who was totally out of the picture, and just gives it a bit of life.
Yeah.
Gives you that extra run where you just fall on something. But me personally, I don't think necessarily Ancelotti would do it, but I don't think he's going to have a choice in the end. I think when you look at it, James Rodriguez is going to be out. Gylfi Sigurdsson wasn't training.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily know what was going on there with Gylfi. But mate, listen, we're just obviously speculating on that terms. But it was the FA Cup. He come on against Sheffield Wednesday, and I thought he was very comfortable, whether it was 10 minutes or not. I just thought he was at pace with a Championship side, whether you take that as a pinch of salt or not. But I do feel like he sort of stuck out, and so you got a bit of confidence in that. But moving forward to the weekend, I mean, there's either two situations going to go on. He either gets put in, and let's be honest, he's not getting put in against a top 6 side. He's not getting put in against a team that's going to play Everton off the park. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But in terms of how they set up and how we could set up in a way that we play a flat 3 where you have Onyango, Davies, and Allen, or he could even put Gomez.
Yeah.
It depends on what Davies is, what point Davies is at.
Yeah.
So really, if you could see it, I mean, he's going to have experience around him. He's not going to be going up he's not going to have a partner who's in low in form or things like that. He's going to have that sort of protection where he's going to have these experienced players playing with him. He's going to get told where to go and where not to go. You know what I mean? So they're going to have him in his ear and things like that. But yeah, I think it could be a bit of a masterstroke really if we could just put him in. I mean, if we get him in and he does well, I mean that could save us. That could save us. What I mean, you're looking at Burnley, you're looking at I think Brighton, and then I mean, listen, when you break it down, the next 3 games for Everton is so vital.
Yeah, and we've got a quarter final of an FA Cup lodged in between.
Well, exactly. So, and plus as well, we've got a bit of a break, haven't we, coming up?
Yeah.
So, listen, we've got one game Premier League against Burnley. If Skilty-Skirton and James Rodriguez aren't playing, then there's going to have to be a shuffle in terms of what he sets up as.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to play him, or if he comes off the bench, I think he will, because I think you look at Davies, only just recently come back. Has he got 90 minutes in him? Has he got 90 minutes in his legs?
Yeah.
More than anything. It's we've seen it with Alan, haven't we? Like, it's just getting up to speed, and your legs are probably like concrete after the end of the game, and then straight in at the end another one. So yeah, let's go and listen. If he does come in and he does, then it's a fantastic situation to be in, isn't it? Really.
Absolutely, I agree, and I'd love to see Tyler Onyango being given that opportunity and putting him in there and seeing what he can do in the Premier League, certainly with the next few games coming up, where we're coming up against sides who, again, you know, probably aren't the best sides, are fighting towards the bottom end of the table, but it's 3 massively important games and 3 games that we absolutely need to win, no question about it. We need 9 points out of these next 3 games. Another name I mentioned on my live stream earlier on today, Tom, a few days ago, whenever this is being put out, is Ben Godfrey maybe moving into the centre of midfield and playing in that Doucoure role. Obviously, he's played there before for Shrewsbury for the season. Again, we mentioned versatility earlier on. He is the definition of versatility. If you look up versatility in the dictionary, it's just a picture of Ben Godfrey. Do you think maybe Carlo Ancelotti is more likely going to go with a Godfrey or maybe say a Holgate as opposed to an Onyango because they've had that first team experience? Obviously, they're not natural central midfielders, but again, you know, let's just say keeps with the same system and he doesn't change the system. Would Ben Godfrey be somebody, certainly considering Yerry Mina's returning back to fitness, and if Yerry Mina comes back into the team with Michael Keane, where does Ben Godfrey fit in then? Because he's got to be in the team because he's excellent.
Yeah, I think you'd see then Ben Godfrey go to right back.
Yeah,
in my personal view. Yeah, I think he's just we obviously see it. He's a far more progressive runner with the ball and things like that. He's quite comfortable taking the ball into the final third and things like that. So from that standpoint, where he was doing that from the left side, I feel like he'd be far more comfortable doing that at right back. And I think he's just a better defender than Mason Holgate, really. And obviously we all know that. And I do think you see it. I think Ancelotti really, really trusts Mina.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's his number one defender, really, and you can see that. So, in terms of putting Godfrey in the centre midfield, yeah, but I think in terms of if you do, I don't necessarily think he'll take on that Doucoure role. It's very, very specific what he does, and listen, it's either you look at Onyango and you think he's got the natural ability, and obviously when you look at the under-23s, he does do that role. Yeah. You're looking at terms of Godfrey. This is another role for Ben to take on, isn't it?
I said it before in my stream. It could get to a point at the end of the season where we're looking at Ben Godfrey as our most important signing because he's just playing everywhere when players are injured.
Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if he started like wing at one point. I mean, it's just everything that he can do. He's been like a Superman, isn't he?
He is.
So yeah. In terms of putting, listen, if you're going to put Ben Godfrey or Mason Holgate into a central midfield, then you're obviously going to have to play a double pivot.
Yeah.
I feel like in terms of putting Godfrey in, I think it'd have to be very specific situations or where he does then go progress with the ball.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to take time to sort of learn positional sense and things like that in central midfield. I mean, I think moving forward, I think we are going to see a Davies-Allen central midfield partnership. It just all depends on if Ancelotti's going to play a 3 or is he going to go and play a 2 in terms of what style we're going to play. But I think for the Burnley game, I know it's an important game, but it's a game where you can sort of still say to yourself, there's 10 games left.
Yeah.
It's not really where you're like, right, there's 3 games left in this. It's such this big important game. No, it's an important game to just keep to coming off the back of Chelsea. But listen, if there's a time to sort of have a little shift in the team and system, then now's the time, because I think after that, the next 10 games after that are going to be so vital.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree completely. Well, there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Would you like to see Tyler Onyango being given that opportunity to sit in that Abdoulaye Doucoure role now that, you know, it's pretty clear that Abdoulaye Doucoure is going to be out for at least the next few games or so? Again, we don't know the severity at the moment, but it's going to be at least the next couple of games or so. Do you think maybe Carlo Ancelotti will look at a Ben Godfrey or a Mason Holgate, or do you think he'll just stick with one of the plethora of midfielders that we've got and maybe change the system a little bit to accommodate that rather than having one of them playing that Doucoure role, if you like? Big thanks to Tom for joining us once again. Really do appreciate it. If you've enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. We'll be back very soon with another one. A massive thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below and we'll get involved with as many of them as possible. Big thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.